Legacy coming at you again. Today I have another special guest. I've got Mingus Mapps. He is currently the commissioner for the city of Portland. And guess what? He is also running for mayor. Super excited to have him. He's a super nice guy. Let's introduce Mingus. Mingus, thanks for being here with us today.
Oh, George, thank you so much for having me here. I'm excited to talk.
So tell me, how long have you lived here in Portland? Have you always been, were you born and raised here? Or what?
Oh my gosh, I was actually born in San Francisco, but I've had family in Portland for my entire life. So I have an unbroken memory of Portland going back to the 1970s. I used to spend my summers up here. Eventually, I went and got my BA degree from Reed College. After Reed, I spent a couple of years doing local politics and working for nonprofits. So I worked for Bev Stein when she was Multnomah County Chair, worked for the county over at the Department of Health, worked for the Portland Public School Districts in their intergovernmental relations office, and then eventually went off and got my PhD in government from Cornell University and spent a couple of decades actually being a political science professor. And about 10 or 15 years ago, I moved back to Portland with my family and very much turned my career towards being a public servant.
Wow. So that's a lot.
Yeah. It's been a journey.
So talk to me about why commissioner? You go through all this level of education.
Oh my gosh. Well, I tell you, public work, especially at the local level, is what really speaks to my heart. Business is interesting for sure, but I think the most interesting and important problems that we face as a society are the problems that you can't solve through the private sector. How do you provide for public safety, for example? How do you provide for parks? How do you meet basic human needs? Those are really interesting problems, and frankly, they're the most pressing problems. One of the things I've tried to do with my professional life and my personal life is just to lean into the most important work I can find. And frankly, the work that we're doing at City Hall is the highest calling that I can imagine.
Wow, well, that's pretty amazing. Through that, all your travels, getting a higher level of education, getting into politics, as a person of color, what was that like? Was it scary? Do you enjoy it?
Oh my gosh, it's been a remarkable journey. I'll tell you, earlier today, I was on the phone with my good friend Evel Gordley, and I can remember back in the early 1990s, I was a young staffer working in the state capitol when there were basically, it felt like there were basically three people of color in the state capitol building. There was Margaret Carter, there was Evel Gordley, and there was me as someone, barely not being a teenager anymore. It was extremely lonely, that's for sure, but I had great role models with Margaret Carter and Senator Gordley, and it's been a journey. I've always, stood out in Portland, but one of the other things about Portland is that Portland has also embraced me. I've had an incredible personal and professional journey, one which frankly I think could have only been possible here in Portland. Deeply grateful for it. And now that I'm a dad of a 13-year-old and a 15-year-old, one of the things I want to do before I hang up my boots is to make sure that I leave a city behind that nurtures my kids the way that Portland nurtured me.
So, I've got two kids of my own. I've got an 8-year-old and a 13-year-old.
I can see the drawings in the background.
And so summertime's coming up. It's like, wow, there's, my life is going to get consumed by, taking care of them. And I'm glad that my 13-year-old still wants to be with his dad, which is awesome.
Well, you can. It doesn't last forever.
I know. So how are you keeping your kids entertained this summer?
Oh, well, this is a good question. As we're recording this, I think my oldest kid is in his last hour of school for the year, and I expect him to bust through the door in about 45 minutes, and he's going to be very excited for school to be out. And I know in about 24 hours, he's going to be bored, and that's going to be a challenge for me. But we have some summer camps lined up. I got a basketball player and a soccer player, so we're going to be doing some of that. Frankly, I also got a lot of yard work that needs to be taken care of, so I'll try to put them to work where I can and when they're willing.
So, for me, it's interesting. Like, summer camps are so incredibly expensive nowadays.
Yeah.
And, come from a fortunate place that I can afford them, but there's so many other families that can't afford them. And so we're, in this weird place in our economy right now. I think like after COVID, it's just been really hard and it's been really expensive. And so, this year we decided to dial it down a little bit on the camps because they're just like, incredibly expensive. Something that would have cost a couple $100 now costs a few $1,000s. It's like that dramatic. And I think a lot of families are really reevaluating how do we spend the time with our kids and things. I mean, it's so interesting. And my son, he's 15 and wants to get a job, and I'm like, hey, I want you to be a kid. I want you to enjoy summer. You're only 13 years old.
Well, I hear you, and I got you got two of them too. So, and both of them play sports. Both of them are pretty good at sports. So they're on teams that actually travel. So that can soak up a ton of time and frankly, a lot of money. I'll be straight with you. We can't do every road trip that we'd like to do. We're fortunate in that my kids largely are doing sports camps. So mostly they'll have opportunities to go play soccer or go play basketball. So that is relatively affordable. Another thing I want to point out for folks who are looking for ways to keep their kids busy is that, Portland Parks offers a wide range of affordable recreational opportunities for kids and young families. I encourage everybody who's looking for a way to keep their kids busy this summer to go online, type in Portland Parks Bureau, and take a look at some of the recreational opportunities we have there.
When we think about, sports here in Oregon,
Yep.
We don't have too many sports teams. Like we it's great. We've got the Timbers, the Thorns, we've got the Trailblazers. I would love to be able to see that we can, attract some top talent into our organizations. I would like to see some more professional teams out here and really, driving this market and this economy out here. What are some of the sports that you like to follow? What are your thoughts on?
Well, sure. I tell you, 95% of my sports activities are involve watching middle school and high school soccer and basketball, which is actually pretty exciting. It's amazing, especially if you're a sports parent, to watch kids go from elementary school where they can barely tie their shoes to truly young athletes. And I'll tell you, even in middle school, especially at the basketball and soccer levels, I'm seeing them really emerge as being just powerful athletes. And like there's a whole scene around recruiting and ranking and training young kids. On top of that, whenever we can, we try to get to a couple of Timbers and Thorns games a year. Basketball too. I'll tell you, although it's been a tough year for the Trailblazers, one of the great things about rebuilding years is that Trailblazers tickets are awfully cheap. I think there was a while there where you can get tickets for like $5 or something. So that actually made it possible for me to grab my kids and a couple other kids and go down and catch a couple of Blazer games, which has been great. And I'll tell you, on top of that, I hear you. One of the things that drives Portland's economy is sports and tourism. Since I've been on council, I've been very involved in discussions about trying to attract a Major League Baseball team in Portland. I will tell you, Major League Baseball wants to be here in Portland, and I'm confident that they will be. I sure hope that certainly by the end of my first term as mayor, we can maybe nail something down.
Yeah, I grew up in Chicago.
Okay.
I grew up going to the Cubs game. I was a Northsider. I loved going to the Cubs and watching them. It was like my favorite thing to do in the summertime was to go watch a Cubs game.
Oh, and
yeah. Here you can't. It's like you got to take a 3-hour drive, take the train up to Seattle, and it's a beautiful stadium. But it's an experience that I would love to be able to do a little bit more often.
Oh my gosh, yes. I'll tell you, I've spent a fair bit of time in Boston where you can go, where they have a great urban stadium with a lot of history. I used to be able to walk from my house down to Fenway. That was amazing. I could even walk back when I was in Boston over to the Celtic Stadium. So that was great. I'd love to be able to bring something similar to Portland in particular. And not only is it a great bonding experience, a great family experience, sports teams are one of the things that draws people to the area and fills up our restaurants and our bars, and people buy knickknacks and whatnot. So I'm confident that that's the direction we're going to lead into. And there are many remarkable things about being a member of City Council. One is you get to interact with, major league sports teams that want to be here. We're a super compelling market. We're a great town. I hope that we can continue this tradition, get the Trailblazers back up on their feet, and move forward. I'm very confident. Frankly, we're very close, I think, to having a WNBA team. There are a couple of minor things that need to be dealt with just in terms of infrastructure, but we're leaning into fixing those. I'm confident that, frankly, by the end of my first term, we can have a WNBA team in town.
Well, that would be great. I think one of the things, like growing up in Chicago, having a Chicago dog at Wrigley Field was an amazing thing. Going to Seattle and having garlic fries is another amazing thing. And for Portland to be such a foodie place, it'd be awesome if we have our own style of food here, or, wrapped around sports. Because, when Lillard left, oh my God, I love him. He's been a big part of our community. I couldn't be mad at him for wanting to go after a ring. He's one of the greats, and he deserves that opportunity. I was a little bit disappointed with the organization not being able to wrap around a team that would be able to support this person that can basically hit a jump shot anywhere on that court, which is amazing.
I know. Absolutely. I tell you, one of my forms of therapy is to go online and watch these YouTube clips and whatnot of Dillard, literally sinking baskets from the stands. It's amazing. And I hear you. And you're a dad too, frankly, especially as your kids get a little bit older, one of the ways you can entice them to hang out with you is to take them to a Trailblazers game, take them to a soccer game. The pickles are fun too. I tell you, if you haven't discovered the pickles yet, super fun, easy to get to, very affordable. They try real hard to make that an engaging experience. So doing the hyper local stuff is a great practice that I highly advise.
Yeah, the pickles. A couple years ago, my family took me for Father's Day to the pickles game for the first time, and we got to run the bases. And did, and that was just a really great experience. I'd never been to a pickles game before. And that sense of community there was just pretty awesome. I enjoyed that Father's Day.
Oh no,
Father's Day. I don't know what my family has in store, but do you have any plans for Father's Day?
Well, I will find out very soon. It's coming up. It's coming up this Sunday. I will see what my kids want to do. I have a couple of campaign events that I should duck my head into, but on Father's Day, the kids get to drive the bus. And if I don't, and let me take this opportunity to wish you a very happy Father's Day. I hope you're able to get out and do something fun. Do you know what you're going to be doing?
I have no idea. Every year the kids sort of surprise me on what the activities are. So the only rule I only have one rule, is that whatever we do, we all do it together. I don't care what we do. I just want to be with my kids, my family. Yeah. Well, I want to thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with me here today. I had a lot of fun just learning a little bit more about you, and just really talking a little bit about sports. And I want to give you the opportunity to say any last minute remarks that you'd like to say.
Well, I appreciate this opportunity to introduce myself to Portlanders. I'll tell you, my name's Mingus. I'm one of your candidates on council. I'm one of your commissioners on council. I'm one of your candidates for mayor on council. I'm your commissioner in charge of infrastructure. So I'm your water guy, your sewer guy, your roads guy. And I'm running for mayor, so you're going to be seeing a lot more of me over the next 6 months or so. My top priorities are, helping people move from the streets into supportive housing, public safety, and economic recovery. As we were talking about earlier, I know it's far too expensive to live in Portland, to buy a home, and it's far too challenging to start and grow a business in our town. I think we can turn that around, which is why I am running for mayor.